And I'd really like to thank Dr. Bahia Diaz, the original founder of this whole Sankey situation over 50 years ago, Mr. Arvita, Queen Dr. Helen Delahousie, I just talked about her, my daughter, and all the founders and leaders of Sankey Global. I'd like to thank Mr. Louis Rodriguez, who spent hours and hours and hours on the phone, us two together, to develop this PowerPoint. Mr. Corey Williams, Queen Fabiola, Dr. Ruth Ann for help and support of this presentation. Since my daughter's already said so many nice things about me, I had to look around to see if that was me she was talking about. But bottom line, I'll just simply say this. As a health evangelist for over 40 years, that's right, 40 years, a naturopathic doctor, I just like to call myself a health evangelist. But like Dr. Diaz, my ambition and goal for these 40 years has been to teach and to help people to live a higher quality of life by keeping their immune system strong with nutritious foods and plant-based formulas that are designed to help the body heal itself. In one of Dr. Bahia Diaz's videos, he simply explains that his life ambition and work has not been to create products that heal any particular part of the body, but instead to research, develop, and create formulas and products that would assist the body to rejuvenate, regenerate, and heal itself. Why was there a need? As we like to say, why Sankey, why now? Simply because of the human lifestyle, the food that we ate, the things that we drank, the environment, all just knocked our immune systems down. In other words, our immune systems or our natural defense systems were just, or what Dr. Bahia Diaz terms the intelligent force within, that immune system has been weakened, it's been compromised, in some cases it's just plain old been destroyed. Newsflash, newsflash, world news, the coronavirus is on the stage, folks. That's all we've been hearing about lately is the coronavirus. Now listen, I'm not here to knock medicine. I'm just simply saying that every time there's a big time presidential election, there's some kind of virus or something that comes out of the woodwork. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? I hear all kinds of theories that all the folks that were on that particular yacht, when their mouths were swabbed to see if they had the virus, some say that they were actually giving them the virus. That's why all of them that were swabbed came down with it. So anyway, I don't know. All I know is we've got this virus that's got everybody afraid, like a scary movie, right? Well, okay, folks, Sankey has the answer to the virus situation, the virus problems. The statements in this presentation have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The products and or information referred to in this presentation are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So, before we look at our first slide, let me explain. I'm going to ask a question and answer it. What is a virus? A virus is a biological agent that reproduces itself inside the cells of the living host. That's us, okay? Basically, a virus, like cancer, which is a virus, is basically a parasite. It lives off of living things. When infected by a virus cell, a host cell is forced to produce thousands of identical copies of the original virus at an extraordinary rate. In other words, our bodies become copy machines for the virus. So, what do viruses do? Or what parts of our bodies do they affect? Well, different parts, mainly the respiratory, okay? We get the fevers, the cold, the flu-like symptoms. That's right. And sometimes there's fever and joint and muscle pains. Other times it's the urinary tract. And sometimes it gets so bad that it's the gastro part of our bodies, the stomach, the bowels. We get the vomiting and the fever and so forth, so on. Well, how many viruses are there? There was a scientist, his name was Stephen Moore, and he said that for the 20 different viruses in each of the 50,000 vertebrates on the planet, that would give us around 1 million viruses, folks. That's a lot of viruses. But bottom line, a new study estimates that at least 320,000 different viruses infect mammals. So you asked the question, why Sankey and why now? Well, we're going to take a look at our first slide. As you can see, up top, it simply says Sankey and the efficacy of Belage against viruses. Well, Belage is the flagship product that Sankey has put together, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But the bottom line is it does have efficacy and has been proven in vivo tests, okay, to have power against the viruses that are out there. And you see at the bottom there it says Vision 2020, Year of the Do. We have a vision, global vision for Sankey and its wonderful products and services. As we come to America, we're just unveiling in America right now as I speak. And we're calling this the Year of the Do. You've heard the song like the dew in the morning. Well, anyway, not because I sing so well, but the Do, D-E-W, stands for double economic wealth. So as we go to our first slide, we see the antiviral activity of Belage. During infections by a virus, example influenza, natural killer cells are activated. Wow. What are natural killer cells? Well, these are part of our immune system. The white cells, the T cells, the helper cells, the B cells, the phagocytes, the lymphocytes. Yeah, all these trillions of cells in our bodies. And these immune cells detect infected cells and activate what is called cytotoxicity, which means that they send out things that are actually toxic to these viral cells. And those mechanisms for sending out this destructive, are helpful for us, but destructive to the viruses. It is brought into effect when the body detects that the infected cells have what? Infiltrated our bodies. That means that the healthy bacteria has been established to be a crucial regulator and immune cell response and function, particularly in these natural killer cells. In other words, good cells attack viral cells to get rid of them or have them implode. If you look at the slide, or look at the little example to the right in step 1, you see the NK cell, kind of looks like an eyeball there, okay? But you see it attaching itself to a target cell that it found in the system. And as it attaches itself, you see what it does. It implodes the target cell. It actually sends these antigen fighting materials into the target cell and causes it to do what? Literally, it renders it helpless. It causes it to degenerate and to literally die. So through the process of cytotoxicity, natural killer cells detect and attack infected cells. So we're talking about the fact that Belage, our premium product, our flagship product, actually promotes healthy immune system function, and we're going to show you how. In this next slide, we see the antiviral activity of Belage in case of any infection or virus, influenza for example. When it enters into the cells, it uses the host cell's machinery to produce viral protein. In other words, if you look at the top figure 1, you'll see that in the middle you see green in the nucleus. That is actually the viral cell that has come into a regular cell, a human cell, and you'll see the encryption there, 3CL, and with the dots going down to point right in front of the virus. This 3CL there, it's an enzyme. You can't see it, but just imagine it's there. This enzyme helps the virus to do what? To produce the viral protein, the little reddish looking thing that you see there. But it can't do it without that 3CL. But once this protein is established, look what happens. It then can do what? Replicate, duplicate, and become two viral cells. And that's how it begins to duplicate and grow in our bodies. But in figure 2, you see something. This person has been ingesting and has been taking the Belage. So the Belage gets in there where the 3CL would be activated, that enzyme would be activated to produce a protein. You see that there's no protein being established. Why? Because the Belage inhibits the ability of the 3CL to be produced, and therefore the viral cell cannot do what? It cannot produce the protein that it needs to eat on in order to make more cells just like itself and duplicate. And if you look, you see that the green in this cell is getting lighter and lighter and lighter, so it is actually degenerating, it is actually dying. So Belage inhibits the protease 3CL, the enzyme, from being produced by the virus, and that prevents the virus from doing what? replicating itself. So what it's actually doing is attacking, it's arresting, and it's degenerating, causing to disappear the viral activity. On our next slide, in vitro testing, Sankey tested Belage against several viruses, even SARS, okay? Just letting you know, and it's proven, it's these in vitro tests are on record. The enzyme 3CL-Pro is necessary for the production of functional proteins by the virus. Again, these proteins needed for replication were not produced. In other words, white cells were produced. And so Belage in the system will prevent the production of viral cell functional proteins. In other words, Belage inhibits the viral cell from using this 3CL-Pro. So if we'll look at the slide, I'm sorry, I'm saying slide, but I mean if we would look over here to the right at the diagram, on the left side, we see viral protein production, duplication of viral cells. So when these proteins, those little red proteins, are produced in the cell is able to divide in half and duplicate. So you see lots of cells just going to town. They're just replicating, having babies and growing inside of the host, which in most cases is our body. But on the right side, you see that the Belage has done something. It has inhibited the growth of the 3CL-Pro production, which stops the growth and the ability of the cell to produce what? The protein, the viral protein, and so replication is reduced. And in this case, we found that it was reduced over 83.9%. That's right, almost 84% of the production of the viral cells was halted. So Belage does what? It inhibits virus reproduction in cells. On this slide, we see that in vitro testing, they did double-blind placebo-controlled clinical trial. They took 200 men and women between the ages of 32 and 52, and they recruited them and asked them to either consume 1 stick of Belage or 1 stick of placebo every day from December the 1st, 2019 to March 2020. That's just a few days ago, folks. And the occurrence of influenza A, influenza B was diagnosed using nasopharyngeal swabs and recorded. And gastroenteritis was diagnosed when at least 2 symptoms such as nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, or fever were present. What happened? Belage reduced the impact of influenza A by 50.5%. Belage reduced the impact of influenza B 67.8%. And Belage reduced the impact of gastroenteritis 46%. Are you all listening to what we're talking about? Are y'all looking at this? The Belage, with all its ingredients, its antioxidants, literally was able to go in, boost the immune system to the point where it was able to actually reduce influenza A by 50.5%, influenza B by 67.8%, and even gastroenteritis by 46%. So, blood samples were taken in vitro testing in patients from the Belage group and the control group. Cytotoxicity of the natural killer cells were assessed at the beginning of week 1 and at the end of week 4 by measuring the lactate deshydrogenase released from target cells. Belage increased the immune system by 39.8%, and there was no significant changes observed in the control group. So what are we saying, folks? We're saying that Belage has the ability to increase the efficacy of the immune system. In other words, it helps your immune system to fight back and fight better. So, in conclusion, in 1908, Ilyich Mednikov, a Russian scientist, and in 1960, almost 52 years later, Sir Macfarlane Burnet, who was a British scientist, they both won the Nobel Prize in Immunology. What does that mean? That means that they did all their research on the immune system. And what they found out was that the immune system, your immune system, my immune system, all of our immune system would potentially make thousands and thousands of potentially viral cells, cancerous cells, or whatever, okay? Viral cells, if the immune system was compromised. But if the immune system was strong, then guess what would happen? The body would go arrest, detect, and destroy all of those thousands and thousands of viral cells. So again, what we've got to look at is, I can give it to you this way. Let's just supposing that your house inside of your house you had 25 pit bulls, and outside of your house you had 75 pit bulls. If you were to leave your house, if there were 10 robbers in the neighborhood, how many of them would go inside of your house? None of them. But just supposing that these 10 robbers were to give your dogs one at a time, your pit bulls, poison pork chops, okay, poison steak. And bit by bit, your dogs got sick to where they couldn't do anything. So that's basically what happens to your strong immune system once viral cells get in and begin to replicate themselves and produce their proteins in your body. So can you kind of see what's happening? So something's got to happen to strengthen those dogs back up. Well, let's talk about it this way. Why Sankey? Why now? Well, Belage, which is the flagship product of Sankey Global, with its fermented olive leaf, delivers and furnishes millions of nano-sized particles into the body at the microcellular level, causing the DNA in the mitochondria to help the body create trillions of white blood cells. And I'll just say this, the average viral cell, once it enters into our bodies and begins to replicate, it can actually produce millions of viral cells. But our immune system actually produces trillions of cells. So if you can see what we're talking about, all these lymphocytes, phagocytes, and T cells. In other words, a strong immune system that serves to contain viral infections, while the immune response generates antigen-specific cytotoxic T cells. That's right. These T cells can then clear the viral infection, and guess what? They help the body to reverse, recover, and restore itself. So again, this is Dr. Franco Taylor. It's been a plumb pleasure talking with you about this thing, about the viruses out there. Folks, let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether it's the coronavirus, SARS virus. If it's yellow like a duck, has webbed feet and quacks, it's still a duck. A virus is a virus. And your body has been designed by your creator to literally destroy it. And with the help of Sankey and these wonderful products that are designed to rebuild your immune system, we're saying join with us. Get with the person that put you on this call so you can find out how to join with us as we reverse, recover, and restore the health and the wealth of the world. Thank you, and may God bless. Hello, this is Dr. Franco Taylor, and I'm just saying to you, be sure to join us each Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. on WIN Radio for the Right Stuff Helps program.